Hello, welcome to Season 5 of How to Play D&D, the explainer podcast with one experienced Dungeon Master and one fellow scriptwriter to discuss D&D topics. My name is Kinsey and my illustrious guest this week is Daniel Marsh. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, Kinsey.
Hello, how you doing?
Not too bad today.
Good.
All the better for seeing you.
Thank you. We have been recording some side episodes that are coming up after this season, so it's been a good day. Good, nice bit of D&D. Bit of D&D action.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
I think it's... Yeah, because we've split it up over a few different days as well, recording that. So it's been good to revisit because it had been a good minute.
It has, yes. It's been good fun. I've really enjoyed it. I don't know why we're talking like this. Like, it's very formal. Like, we're at the end of a football match trying to talk about football. Anyway, with that, this season we are doing something slightly different. Our guests have selected an enemy from a list that I've supplied, and they're going to educate us as to why we should use these creatures. And of course, I will interrogate. What is this week's episode on?
This week we're talking about Nothics.
Let's get to it. Okay, so today's episode is on Nothics. Most people encounter this absolute nightmare creature in the famous starter campaign Lost Mines of Phandelver, but I actually met the Nothic on a bar crawl in Benidorm back in 06. Marshy, I've covered myself in lube, sewn my hands together and planned to make dolphin noises to escape reality. What am I doing? And yes, I'm so excited to be back to asking these kind of questions.
Not enough mushrooms?
Not enough mushrooms, too fucking many.
I think you need more to be able to handle that.
Less acid, more shrooms.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't condone drugs. We do condone the right animal noises to get help. Okay, so to the real questions. Why did you pick Nothics?
Well, it was actually Lost Mines of Phandelver was the first campaign that I'd ever played. It was my introduction to the game.
Yes.
And the slightly reflavoured Nothic, homebrewed a little bit by my DM at the time, was the most terrifying creature I'd come up against at the time. And I had a good deal of fun overcoming it, so absolutely I'm willing to talk about it. I'm excited to put it in any future campaigns of mine.
When I play Lost Mines, also my first campaign, I think it's most people's first campaign in the last 10 years.
It's a very good introduction.
It is a brilliant introduction, and the description for this thing, I was not shown it, I was described it, and everyone was mortified at whatever this was after we've just killed a couple of pesky goblins.
Mm-hmm.
So, absolute nightmare stuff. So starting, you picked Nothics because it's a good starter creature, it's terrifying. What kind of stats does a Nothic have?
I'll be honest, I didn't actually fight it. I was lucky enough to talk my way out.
Okay, all right.
I did get hit by some of its abilities, but we didn't scrap.
What kind of abilities does it have?
So for one, it has Weird Insight, which is, for anyone who doesn't have the monster manual burned into the inside of their skull, Weird Insight is an ability the Nothic has, which has the player roll, that it's targeted, roll a saving throw, Wisdom, I believe, but I'd have to go and double check. And if you fail the Wisdom saving throw, hoping it is Wisdom, then the Nothic learns a flaw about you or a deep secret about the player. Now, my DM, who you've met at a one-shot that I ran, Lars, reflavoured Weird Insight to be that the target of it also was put into a trance state. And in that trance-like dream, had to relive their worst sin, their deepest secret.
Very good.
And could only kept taking damage until they were able to absolve themselves.
Very cool. Great use there of kind of mixing up what's already at play and making it very way more personalized. So great DMing.
Oh yeah, it was a really good way to get some of the characters' backstory in. So new players, write some backstory. I am begging. Come to the table with more than just stats, because it pays off with things like this. But it's also such the Nothic is such a petrifying enemy. I would imagine if you got into combat with it, because if you do fail that saving throw and it learns a severe weakness about you, that combat is not going to go well for you, especially if your DM is cruel enough to run any negatives for the player on any intimidation checks that the Nothic might make. I can see you've pulled up an image of it. It is very scary. You're going to fail that intimidation check. You're going to get those debuffs.
It's great because I've pulled it up here, and like the image of it here hasn't changed since the 14 players handbook or monster manual, should we say? But the players handbook for 24, the artwork is so much more terrifying. It's so it's very realistic in comparison. But even this one here, which is a way more family friendly, is still nightmare fuel if that's just being described to you. I brought it up because we look at some of these stats, and like when you're seeing this in the Lost Mines, a starter campaign, which you probably, if you are playing for the first time, this is when you'll see it. You're more likely to see a Nothic at a lower level, but it does damage. It does damage, but most of the things it's doing, which is great on the DM side for new players, is abilities, is feats, rather than the actual actions. It can hit, but it's got other things like you've just described. So it's a great way. This episode is meant to be me being convinced, but it is such a good creature that, like, when you're starting out, great thing to be described to you when you're using your theatre of the mind, but also it immediately makes you think that you can't just hit things. Which is a brilliant starter enemy.
Oh, yeah, because your first instinct, especially with the way Lost Mines of Phandelver starts with the Goblin Camp, you very quickly learn you can hit things hard and things go well. This is definitely not the case, and I was very lucky I could talk my way out of that combat by offering up corpses for it to feed on in my campaign. But the fact that it can speak to you and it looks so horrifying, it's this very good reminder that yes, you are in a fantasy world, and there are things bigger than you and scarier than you and more intelligent than you. And so you have to really lend yourself to that creativity to get out of situations like these. And it's also such a weird creature that you wouldn't see in any other media, like goblins and orcs and elves you see in things like Lord of the Rings, or dragons in every media and myth for the past several hundred years. But Nothics, I believe, are a WotC original. Perhaps?
I believe so as well. Yeah, I've not seen them used anywhere else. And do you know what? I'm not sure because I've not looked in the handbook going past that original stat block. But like, it's such a great starter creature that you don't see in any other kind of like franchise, as you said. But also, it's got so much to play with in the sense that it's a low-level creature that does interesting things. But there's so much more that you could scale all the way to level 20 because it's already there to be like, well, actually, if it's doing like charisma and wisdom saves, there's so much you could play with for like magic users, like, and still do damage if you wanted to ramp it up to like level 20 enemy for high level players.
I mean, if it were me doing this at a high level as well, and we were talking about this earlier while we were thinking up the creatures for this episode, at a high level, if I were a repeat DM for the same party, and let's say in the first campaign my party had reached level 12, and one of them was playing a warlock or a wizard, a magic user of some kind, and if that player was so willing as to let me deem the outcome post campaign of that character, I would love to bring it back in the following campaign as a Nothic. Having lost all sense of self, fully devolved in this like desperation for unearthly knowledge, and become this menace. And if you get your players to a high level in campaign 1, that is a real terrifying enemy that your players, it's a bit out of table because obviously different characters hopefully that they're playing, but they might not want to kill this thing because they know it from the last campaign. But it's still such a threat because your players have reached a certain level previously. I think that would be something I'd do.
We've talked about it before on the podcast in different variety of sessions where my favourite part about DMing is where you can put things in that the characters don't know, but the players do. And and even when you give knowledge or information to players right there at the table, but the other players sitting there can't use that knowledge because their characters aren't there. And I love playing that kind of political game with people, those mind games. And I think if players allowed you to use that in a future campaign, it's more than it will go down so well that the characters might not get it, but the players go, that's a brilliant way of bringing something back.
Oh yeah.
Also, if you're a warlock, you're quite likely, if you're that kind of person who plays a warlock, you're probably very much into wanting to bring that character back as some kind of being in that sense, right?
100%.
Yeah.
The warlock in my current campaign has reused that character as a paladin, as a cleric, as a fighter.
Right, okay.
In Baldur's Gate 3, in a home campaign, in a different campaign with a different group of people. That's the kind of person who will want that character coming back again and again and again.
Yes,
And as an enemy, because obviously you revisit characters with like different class builds and things. If you're so inclined as the player, but to come across yourself as the enemy, that's so nice. Fresh.
Great flavour. And the next question would be, how does a DM use a Nothic in their game? You had a great example of that. You said how, like Lars, your DM used it in yours, but then also how you would use it in a future one, especially at a high level. It's got so much flavour to this character. We've seen quite a lot with DMs coming in for this season, how here's where you might find it, here's how a DM usually uses it, but here's the approach you could have with it. There's so many things to do. We've been quite blessed with that. When considering that these are creatures you expect to come across, but it's unexpected how DMs use it, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
So you give us an example as well of when you used it or encountered one. Completely off the bat then, our last question, what's your least favourite enemy in D&D? I've put recently. This is always the tough one because people don't expect it.
See, I'm going to have to ask for some clarification because is this my personal opinion on I just don't like it, or I really don't want to come up against it?
Or either. Completely up to you. I've had dragons people have never played but don't want them to be in it. All sorts. Big variety.
See, that's a toughie. I don't know that I want to come across a giant.
Okay, all right.
Particularly as a DM, because I don't want to have to spend the money on that mini. But as a player as well, because as my DMs will tell you, if you give them the opportunity, I'm playing a funky little animal-like creature.
Yes, okay.
I will happily play like a Harengon, for example.
Yeah.
Being like a small creature up against like a 30-foot giant
with a club.
That's not going to end well, no matter how high level
I love how you're thinking about it from your character's perspective as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you don't want to be looking up at that rather than like just what you like for play. Do I have one I don't like recently?
Go on.
I don't like dragons usually. Don't like beholders. But it's usually because how the DM runs them. Any DM runs them.
Also, like beholders, that I get that they're so like well known and it's prominent in all the art. I don't like them.
Oh, that's fair.
Like it's not that I really don't like them. I'm just not keen on the design. I don't think it's a particularly engaging enemy.
You know what? If it comes down to a creature, the features of it, and it being so prominent in the beholder because of the eyes, arguably I think the Nothic's way more scary than the beholder.
Oh, 100%.
Because the beholder is almost like cute. Yeah. It's almost like Pokemonified. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's it. Like, what was it? The art from version 2 of the beholder.
Yeah.
Where it was like still like black and white, the book, but the art of that was so like uncanny. It sat someone weird in your brain. If you can in the edit, bring up a photo of that because it is really that's the creepiest one that I've seen.
Yeah, it does. It also the artwork varies so much for the beholder compared to me. I tell you what, I do love. I do love a Death Tyrant, which is like
I've not come across one.
It's when a beholder passes, and it's like it. I don't know how it spawns. I should know that if I'm bringing it up, but. Essentially, it's kind of like visiting where its corpse had laid, and it's trying to like gain. Its motive is to kind of like get revenge or gain back what it lost. I mean, that's so varied. I'm probably completely wrong, but that's from what I read. I'm using a Death Tyrant in my campaign, but as a completely different thing. So I was like, I love the miniature. I love the base motive that I saw, and I was like, how do I expand on that in like a massive BBG kind of way? So. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's a way cooler idea to have kind of like, it's not enough. Living is not enough. Yeah, all right, cool. Simple. These are always quite short. Today's adventure is sadly coming to a close. We're back again next week with a topic: how many batteries does it take to generate a good idea in UK Parliament? And as always, thank you for tuning in.
Real.
And if you'd like to join the D&D action, then please follow us on Instagram. I'm laughing at myself at How to Play D&D, or check out the link in our bio to join our Discord server. I've been Kinsey,
And I've been Daniel Marsh.
Good day.
Thank you for listening.